Hello and welcome to today's coaching Q&A session. I am Wendy Greer. I'm one of the coaches here at Learning Strategies and MINDTRX. And we thought it would be a great idea to do these periodically so that we could answer your questions, share insights that we might have, and really help you to use the MINDTRX Paraliminals to the maximum you can. So that was our thought here. What we're going to do is have 5 or 10 minutes of narrative. I was going to share insights that I might have, and then we would move on to questions and answers. I have been coaching these products here for almost 20 years, and it's such a privilege to do what I do. I get to hear people's success stories. I get to hear what's working for them, and I also get to hear what doesn't work. And one of the things that I have tracked and am pretty familiar with now is the specific issues that come up repeatedly. There's some common threads. There's reasons people aren't getting the results they want. And so what I want to devote these first few sessions to is expanding on that, on really picking a couple of things that I see regularly, and then expounding on what might rectify that, what might solve that, what might move you forward or out of that trend. And one of the first ones I noticed is that a lot of people know what they don't want. They do not know what they do want. They're focused on their aways. And it was sort of puzzling to me at first, but I realized how powerful it was because I was doing my coaches training and I was doing some neuro-linguistic programming. And I recognized that people that are focused on what they want to move away from are really harnessing a couple of universal laws that you don't want to be doing that with. One is that like attracts like, and you get more of what you focus on. So if you are looking through victim filters, if you're looking through woe is me, or this is never going to change, or whatever it is, that's what you're going to attract to you. And so that's one of the primary reasons in any of the courses we have here, not just with Paraliminals, but I see it repeatedly. And what's been really intriguing to me is I've seen quite a few articles in the last year or two about we are programmed human beings with a negativity bias. And I thought, what an awful thing to say. But when they explained what they were talking about, it's, even a few hundred years ago, we had to be careful, and thousands of years ago, we had to be really careful. If we were in saber-toothed tiger territory and we weren't looking for the negative and thinking, could be behind that tree, could be behind that next bluff. Oh, I don't know. That sounds like it could be a big creature behind me. You needed that to survive. If you thought that everything that looked like a snake was really a stick and it was a poisonous snake, you were going to have a problem. So we're sort of programmed to be looking for that negativity. The challenge is in this day and age, we've got a lot coming at us, and a lot of it could be perceived as a challenge, as something that we sorry, I'm getting a look here. that we could that we can do something about. So basically, if you're stuck in the story, you're going to keep reiterating. And the reason this is so important with Paraliminals is that they're driven by a well-formed intention. You need to know what you want more of, and your other than conscious mind needs to know that as well. The reason they work so well is they're so personal and so organic, and Paul is an absolute master at artfully vague language. So what he's doing in the change work is he's sort of getting you oriented toward the direction you want to go, giving you a little nudge, and then you decide which pathway you're going to take. Are you going to go this way or that way? And because it's personal, because you get to choose what you listen to in the change work, they work amazingly, incredibly well. I mean, like I say, I've been coaching them for 20 years, and I'm still sometimes astounded at where they take people. So what I wanted to go through today was just sort of what you want to be sure of on when you're couching your intention for listening. There's a few things that will stand you in good stead. A goal that starts with I am or here I am, I now or I now have, I choose or I give thanks for. Any of those are going to be empowering. And I wanted to tell you why that is. An I am statement is a power statement. What you put after I am is incredibly powerful. So the message you want to be giving yourself is, I am totally enjoying my job. I'm loving what I do here. I'm full of vibrant, good energy. I work with great people. I am so thrilled to be here. If you're going, this job sucks and I'm just miserable and I'm just having a terrible time, that's what you're going to reinforce. So your I am statement needs to be you standing in your power, being what you can be. I now means your present tense. You're bringing it into the present moment. I now have The only place you can do anything about your life is in the present moment. There's no point having regrets about the past, the worries about the future. Here and now is where the power is. I choose puts you in the driver's seat. And that's one of the really frustrating things for me is when people they disempower themselves. It's them, it's this caused this and that caused that, and I'm the culprit, I'm the victim. And that is so disempowering. So I choose says I purposefully choose, I'm proactively deciding, I'm not reacting anymore, I am choosing, I am stepping into what I choose. And then I give thanks for, again, it's present tense, it's positive, and expressing gratitude for something. I'd like to do an entire session on the power of gratitude because it is so incredibly expansive and energizing and creative. It tunes you into creative thinking, because when you express gratitude for things that you're thankful for, you get more of that. And like I said, you know, like attracts like, and you get more of what you focus on. So the other thing that is really, really important with goal setting is you need to tune into the emotion of having what you're seeking. One of the things that we had a course that we did for a while that was called Effort-Free Life. And they had something there called Dream Boosters, and people would expand on what they wanted. And so they would build it up and build it up and build it up and then distill it to the goal. The beauty of that was they were emotionally connected. It wasn't, and what I noticed when I was coaching that course was a lot of people have academic goals. It could be Joe Smith down the street, could be, you know, Jane Doe. But if you make it yours, you tune into the emotion of what it would feel like. Jack Canfield has always said, it's not the stuff you want, it's the way it makes you feel. So if your goal is 6 months of living expenses in the bank, what does that enable you to feel? Secure, safe. It means you're not worrying about money. You can put that energy into something else. So you want to really tune into the emotion. What would it be like to have that? If you're seeking a fulfilling relationship, what does it look like? What does it feel like? How would it be to have that? Tune into that feeling and bring that into the goal. So again, it's I am, or here I am, I now, I choose, or I give thanks for it. If you start your goal with that, that's going to be a really clear intention. Now, the beauty of this with the Paraliminals is if you're telling your other than conscious mind, this is exactly what I want. And as you're doing the change work, which is in track 3, where you're cruising down the middle of those two voices, your conscious mind can't stay engaged. So it steps aside and your other than conscious mind comes to the forefront. You've told it what you're looking for. It knows exactly where you're trying to go. There's no question what you're trying to create in your life. So it will dip into and out of the left and right channels and start pulling out the change work that's going to get you where you're trying to go. It is so powerful. And when you are doing this, watch, I mean, you get out of the way because change will happen. It's really important that this whole focal point of knowing what you want. You don't want an amorphous, namby-pamby goal. You want something that's precise, it's clear, it's what you want more of, you're connected to it. And it's so significant that you have the feeling attached, the certainty attached, and you're really focused on that as a toward, not an away from. Occasionally, I have had people that are their negativity bias is so strong that I cannot get them out of that bias. So there's an exercise that's really good, and I've had a few people have huge breakthroughs with this. I thought we got a lot of tools, but this one, you do a T-chart, and on one side of the chart, usually the left, you put all the things in your life that aren't working. And some of these people could do pages, I mean, literally pages of negativities. And then you just flip it 180 degrees. So on the other side, you're going to put, what would the reverse of that be? You know, I hate my job might turn into, I love my job, I'm so fulfilled. You know, that relationship just stinks, I never get any respect. I have fulfilling relationship, you know, so you flip them all. Then you rip the page in half down the vertical line and you shred, you burn, you trash, you whatever you choose to do with the parts, the negative, the things that you're seeking to get away from. That exercise is so cathartic. I've had some people actually sort of break down going, oh my gosh, you know, it sort of breaks the barriers and it opens them up to all the potential that's always been there. It's always been there. They just weren't reaching out to grab it. So that's a really great exercise. And I wanted to briefly just, I love people that are very pragmatic, and Louise Hay, I love Louise Hay. Most of you probably know her. She She was one of the first people to get the mind-body link, and she was a metaphysical teacher and coach. And she did a lot of coaching of people with different dis-eases. And she started tracking mental patterns. And what she started noticing was that certain patterns led to certain things. And she built up some programs. She has this thing called Healing Your Body, and it was called the Little Blue Book. And it was just amazing. It was, these are the patterns, these are the outcomes, this is the affirmation to neutralize that. And she was being interviewed one time because she does a lot of inner child work. She did a lot of focus on what's not working so that you can get to where you want to go. And they asked her, oh, why are you focusing on what you don't want? And her response was just classic. It was, honey, if you want to clean your house, you got to know where the dust bunnies are. So basically, if you're focused on your negatives, those are your dust bunnies, your yes buts, your I can't do that, because those are your dust bunnies. Those are what we want to go after, and we want to convert those dust. We want to clean those dust bunnies out to clear the space for the new to come in. We want to focus on what you want more of and really move toward that. I thought it would be fun on these narratives to bring up a paraliminal that I would. There are so many paraliminals that work for so many things. They're so adaptable that I just love the tools are just amazing. But for this one, I chose belief. And this gets, I will be able to bring up another topic that I get a lot of questions on. Each paraliminal has a small PDF with it that gives you listening guidelines. The guidelines tell you, they'll give you general advice on what frequency, when, how often, that kind of thing. You need to remember everybody's different, so those are general suggestions. But this particular one has session A and session B. I get a lot of questions on sessions A and B. There's two audio sessions. So if you look at your brochure, you'll see the A track, and it tells you it's to strengthen your belief in your abilities to achieve your desires. So really, generally, the track A will be a more general and universal way of approaching what you're going to do, maybe clearing the space for the new to come in. And then on this particular one, belief B is establish powerful self-enhancing beliefs. So you continue the process of establishing power self-enhancing beliefs. So you're picking a belief. Belief is a workhorse, because if you think you can or you think you can't, you are going to be right. I can guarantee it. So belief is just a phenomenal go-to. It's such a workhorse. I reference people to that so many times. All right, we had a lot of questions come in, so I'm sort of went over my time here, but I have so much to share.
And Wendy, before we go on to that, let's do a little adjustment here, because this is our first session that we're doing on the app live.
Okay.
And you're talking about the PDF or the booklets that's included with the CDs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So all that information is included.
Can they hear you?
The app. If not, you can.
Okay, so all the information is included in the app. I'm so sorry. I coach the digital library, and the app is so new to us that I'm not computing.
So you'll find it on the.
He says you'll find it on the
player page.
The player page. Here's a picture for you to know where you're going.
And it's right here.
All right.
See? Those are all the different things.
Now, remember, those are guidelines. Every time I take this question, I think of Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean. Remember when he's talking about the Pirates Code, and he's trying to find some wiggle room, and he goes, well, it's called the Pirates Code, but really, it's just guidelines. And so really, those are guidelines. You got to make the paraliminals yours. And I tell you, you need to trust your gut, because sometimes people will gravitate to a paraliminal I wouldn't have chosen. I have really learned to trust. We are all so much wiser than we give ourselves credit for. So anyway, so I wanted to move on to the questions. Somebody had questions about SLEEPTRX. Does it disrupt the deep sleep period? And how is it different from the awake listening? Okay, paraliminals have 4 tracks. The first one is an introduction. The second is the drop-in, where you're basically just doing some breathing, getting centered, and sort of getting out of beta into at least alpha brainwaves. The third track is the change work, and that's where you have the 2 voices and you're floating down the middle. The fourth track is the count out to bring you back to normal conscious awareness. The third track can be looped to use at night. So the way the sleep learning is different is you're looping the third track. And so you can either go to sleep 2 or sleep through the night with the third track running repeatedly. I don't like sleeping with earbuds in, so I generally loop about 30 to 40 minutes. And then I go from there, and then I pull the earbuds out as I'm drifting off. I have had people who sleep through the night. That would not be my cup of tea. It doesn't seem to disturb their sleep. They do famously. And one of the more bizarre conversations I had at one of our last live events, which we're hoping will resume soon, is I had a gentleman who told me he loops 30 different paraliminals at night. And I'm thinking, oh my, I think I would be, I think that would be a bit much for me, but for him it works. So like I said, make it yours. They're not, it's not a code, it's guidelines. So there you go. I would like to mention with regard to sleep learning, you may have incredible dreams. So you probably should think about leaving a journal next to your bed and journaling what comes up. Sometimes if you can just grab a tendril, we did a dream questing course with Carrie Sullivan Walden. She gave us some great pointers on dream work and how to access what comes through. Grab a tendril. She recommended, and I got one, a pen with a little light in the, because I don't want to wake up my husband. So I would, if I woke up in the middle of the night and something had happened, I knew it might mean something, I just grab a piece of it. And then when you wake up, get what you can. If you can't remember, what Kelly said is resume the position you were in. If you're sleeping on your left side, resume the position and just lay there for a minute, because sometimes just reassuming that physiological position will bring the dream back. Dream work is symbolic. So often it won't make sense. Write it down, because later on other pieces will come back and all of a sudden you'll go, oh my gosh, I got it. I mean, I've had people have incredibly profound insights using the SLEEPTRX. So, and journaling, we probably should do a session on that as well, but journaling, what gets measured gets improved. So journaling while you're, and I can share some awesome stories about people that journaled and started tracking what was going on and what they noticed. So we'll put that on the back burner for another time. But basically, that's my take on the dream questing. Somebody asked about using EFT and Paraliminals. I am a testimonial for that. I have a person that's in the family that's rather challenging for me, very narcissistic and can be rather cruel at times. And I had a really tough time with it. So I was using letting go. I was using positive relationships. I was using belief, but I was also doing EFT, and I do it in the morning. Even no matter what you say or do to me, I'm still aware of that person. No matter what you say or do to me, I'm still aware. And I was just, anyway, my epiphany, I finally got to the point where I got, if she believes that, so be it. I don't. I'm not a crummy person. I know I'm not a crummy person. I'm never going to be that kind of person. I come from a place of compassion and kindness, and I've got to be congruent. I've got to do what seems right to me. And to me, right is compassionate, it's loving, it's caring, and it's authentic. And I need to be that. And I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to let somebody else change who and what I am. So for me, that was EFT and the Paraliminals, because I've been using the Paraliminals and I was making headway, but the actual realization came to me in the forest. A couple of times I passed people who were walking. I don't know what they were thinking, but whatever. So that's my take on that. That's a great way to go, as far as I'm concerned. Many routes to the same destination, and Paraliminals can support anything you're doing. So we have a lot of people that are running them in parallel with other techniques and learning opportunities, and they work great. So. I stay conscious during a paraliminal session, so allow myself to daydream rather than pay attention to the recording. Is this effective? Absolutely. One of the challenges for some people that are show me people, and these are often engineers, nothing against engineers, but they're very oriented toward what's being said. I'm missing what's being said. If you're cruising down the middle, you're doing exactly what you need to do, because you're trusting your other than conscious to pull what you need, and it will. I guarantee it will. So just the daydreaming is just another form of cruising down the middle of the two voices. That's why they work so well, because you can dip in and out. And as I said, your conscious mind will start sorting your world for ways to make what you want to have happen. So occur. So no problem there at all. I know people who wake up excited about their day and they are eager to jump right in. Me, I wake up feeling a little dread about my day. What can I do? How do I use Paraliminals to help me? The paraliminal that's going to help is the paraliminal that addresses why that's happening. So, without more specifics, I can't really give a specific answer, but here's some general thoughts. If you're waking up with dread because you're so anxious about your day and you're really nervous about what's going to unfold, and you don't trust that the day will be successful or that you have the power to deal with whatever's coming up, anxiety-free is always good. And also self-esteem supercharger. Self-esteem supercharger, the taglines on these are so telling. Replace judgment and criticism with acceptance and kindness toward yourself. So don't judge yourself, no shooting on yourself. It's happening for a reason, and Paraliminals will help you get at that and do something about it. The you deserve it would be good. You can use prosperity for just about anything. Prosperity is another workhorse. Prosperity is really good for having an abundance of spiritual connection, for having money in the bank, for having positive, affirming, supportive relationships, and for having a great day. I want a day that's filled with joie de vivre. I want to feel youthful vitality. I want to feel enthusiastic. The world needs to be my oyster today, and I'm just going to have a great day. So, take a look. I always tell people, look at the title of the Paraliminal, look at the tagline that goes with it, and go with what you trust. And as I said, there's been a couple times I've had people choose a Paraliminal where I used to second guess them, but I don't anymore, because I've had people choose one that I wouldn't have thought of, and it was bang on. So just trust your gut. We are all so incredibly wise if we just listen, take the time to listen. I think those Paraliminals do. You go quiet, you go inside, and you hear what's happening. We have somebody who's feeling trapped by negative people. And they feel like they get away from them, and then a door will shut in their face. That verbiage right there makes me think that the focus is on the away froms. You get more of what you focus on. Positive relationships might be helpful, but the interesting thing with relationships is you can't really do anything about another person's behavior, but you can control your response. And what I have seen happen over and over is when you change your perspective, when you change how you see it, when you change your whole attitude. One of our meditation instructors used to call people that were being ornery, people that are in deep forgetting. They've forgotten who they are. They've forgotten what they're capable of. They've forgotten. How sad is that? How sad is that? So if you can approach it from that way, from a place of compassion, and then do the positive relationships. There's so many that would be helpful. I'm thinking positive relationships. Letting go would probably be good for you too, because that is letting go is a great tool. It uses a Sedona method exercise called triple welcoming. And welcoming is challenging for some people because some people think it implies condoning, but it isn't that. It's welcoming what's happened. It's embracing it, allowing it to be what it is. And from that space, stepping into that openness and that freedom that lets you go, what am I going to do about this? Can I control this, or can I do something different? Or do I need to change? It's the serenity prayer in action. That's what it is. It's the changing the things you can, accepting what you cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I know that's a bit of a amorphous answer, but the behavior you can change is in you. You can't change them, but you can change your receptivity, your availability. And if they're getting your goat, they've got a hook. You've got a hook somewhere. The welcoming, the letting go, Paraliminal may be exactly what you need. And as I said, the deep forgetting, have compassion. Some people are so lost, and it's so sad because we have infinite possibilities around our stuck states, and we just can't see it. So, all right, enough said on that one. I'm loving the app. I've got a big goal. How do I supercharge it using Paraliminals? That kind of question, I always say, tell me why you're not exactly where you want to be, because in your reasons for not already being there, you'll find what you're lacking. What are the things that come up when you imagine having that goal? Is there anything that niggles at you going, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or oh, that doesn't feel real comfortable, or whatever it is. So, if say you're in sales and you're not meeting your goals, then you might use Sales Lead, because that's helping you to really step into the full potential of what your capacity is to sell and embrace perceived value, have people perceive value in what you sell. Instantaneous personal magnetism, because that would be being at your most charismatic when you're on the spot. Peak performance is really good. Because that one sort of, it helps you. Tom McCarthy was the guy we co-created that with, and he's a peak performance coach, and he's interesting because he not only does he coach Fortune 500 company, executive directors and, the head honchos, but he's coached Olympic athletes. And so there's somebody who needs to be in the zone at the exact moment they need to be in the zone, and they get one crack at it. So that one is really versatile. And you could use it for peak performance from the context of the big goal. How am I going to do this? How am I going to stay in that zone? How am I going to, and again, prosperity would be one I would look at, because prosperity, again, is a workhorse. So I think that covers most of the questions that came up, and I'm under the time limit that I was given, so that's awesome. I think I'd like to end by saying, I just need to remind you, and what we get here and why Paraliminals work so well is everything you need, you already have. You just forgotten where you put it. And we're here to help you excavate it, dig it out, whatever we have to do to help you get to it. And that artfully vague language of Paul's, I mean, pay attention to synchronicities. You put something out there, pay attention to words that jump off a page or conversations that you hear, because often I've had people exactly the key words they needed or the phrase they needed to solve a situation. So be paying attention. We'll talk about journaling at another time, and I have a couple of other things that show up regularly that I'd love to talk about, but for today I need to wind it up. So we all send you lots and lots of love. You are so powerful. We're here to remind you that everything you need is within you, and we're here to support you. So let us know your successes, let us know your challenges. We'd love to help in any way we can. And you have it. You have what you need. So lots of love, and keep on traxing.